Let me share this. Well, good morning, y'all. Thank you for coming to the workshop for 4-H Youth and Committee or the Youth and Programming Committee. We're excited to have you. We don't have a whole lot today, but if I see Brian and Connie are on, if I'm missing something or if we need to be notified of something, please let me know if I missed anything with this. I think y'all can see. Let me roll back over here. There you go. So just kind of talk about a little bit about what, can y'all see that? Okay. Talk about a little bit about what we did this past year on our committee. We've been pretty busy, working on presentations and abstracts and meeting, and I've had a great committee this year, and last year, and we're looking forward to another good committee. They're very helpful. We've had a lot of good communication. They have really worked hard at getting presentations this year. So my vice chairs is Kevin Cam in Florida, Jenny Christ at Penn State in the Northeast region, Kendra Graham in Missouri in the North Central region, and then Mark Heitzuman. Did I say that right, Mark? Maybe not. Close enough. In the Western region out in Washington. So they have been awesome. And we've done a lot this year in terms of trying to get presentations. So at the 2024 AMPIC in Dallas, we had 18 presentations submitted and we accepted 12, and they had 12 out there. And they were all really, really good. We had really good attendance out there as well. This year, we worked really hard at communicating with the state chairs and or the presidents for each of the associations, the state associations, and reminding them to get those presentation abstracts in for 4-H and youth. And our vice chairs did a great job at that. And we had 29 presentation abstracts submitted, and we accepted 12, and then there were some extra slots that were available, so we ended up accepting 18. So we are super excited because we had a lot of really high quality abstracts submitted this year, and we are super excited that they all get a chance to present at the AMPIC. We start meeting in September, met a lot over the past year, kind of planning and figuring out what the best strategy was to really promote our presentations and getting those abstracts in, and we've done a really good job with that, I believe. In terms of committee goals and what, kind of looking at next year, having those quality abstracts again, having a good number to pick from for the next AMPIC. That's what we continue to do. Have good communications with our vice chairs, and then our vice chairs down the line to our state chairs, as well as those state presidents. And then we've always talked about, so we've never used, well, since I've been on the committee, any type of our funding. And we've talked in the past, I know Kevin's been on just as long as I have, we've talked about trying to do something and incentive wise for our presenters, to get more presenters and to just give a little bit of an incentive to submit abstracts to the 4-H and Youth Programming Committee. So we've had to ask, different things and run that through some hoops. So we're hoping to finalize that working into this next year. Any of my vice chairs or anything for our committee goals that I'm missing or anything with the presentations?
No, I think you captured it, Heather.
Good summary.
Okay, perfect. And then plan of work, again, we'll start meeting in September and hopefully kind of work towards working on some type of our presentation kit or whatever we decide to go in that direction, and then also having that good communication between all those levels. Budget, it will be the same. We will submit the $1,000. Again, we haven't used it the last couple of years, but it is there in case we decide to do something with it. Possibly a Zoom. We've talked about doing a Zoom before. We've talked about not so much pre-conferences, but we have talked about trying to use that and utilize that within our committee. So we will keep exploring that. And we don't have any recommendations, or we didn't run across anyone in our meeting for any board action items or any other involvement that we need to bring upon. And think that's really about it. Vice chairs, have I missed anything? We're just kind of trying to nail down our schedule and our presentation slots when we get to AMPIC. Brian or Connie, have I missed anything, or do we need to discuss anything?
I think so far so good.
Anybody have any questions on what we've done? One of our main goals was to get, good quality abstracts, and we did that, and we were very fortunate that we had a lot of them. So
I'll add something. I think on our committee was thankful that there were some additional slots opened up as well, because we had some great abstracts that were submitted, and we were on the fence for several, like, oh, these are good, but we only have a limited amount. So thank you for opening up a few more spots.
yeah, we were very relieved.
Yeah, no, that's fine. There were some unused presentation slots, mainly from the Extension Development Council committees. And President Jensen said, fill them up.
Yeah.
So I'm glad y'all had some good ones in the quiver that were able to help us do that. That's great. Appreciate that.
And Connie and Brian, is there any direction that you see that, any suggestions for our committee to start looking at for the next year? Besides what we're already currently doing?
No, I can't think of anything. Um, I can't think of anything that needs to be added myself. But I do appreciate the fact it hasn't escaped people's uh, thought process that a few years ago there was a recommendation to dissolve this committee because of lack of some low presentation numbers, and um, y'all have proved them wrong over the last 2 years. So I'd say continue to do that work on that side on recruiting good presentations, because that's going to be that's key to this. That's key to the AMPIC to me, is these presentations being good. And if we can keep that up, then we'll continue to keep our meeting relevant. So thank you for that.
And that falls back on my vice chairs have been awesome. They have been really, really great getting the word out and reminding people. So I appreciate them. They've worked very hard. If anybody doesn't have any questions or any other comments, that's all I have. I think we've kind of covered everything on our reports and the plan of work form. I'll fill that out and get that to Brian. But if there's anything that I missed or you think about afterwards, please email me and let me know. This is my email. If you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, that's all I have. Thank you for attending, and hopefully see y'all at AMPIC.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
I would just like to ask if anybody who's online, if they have any comments or suggestions for the committee that they would like to see brought forward or looked at, whether it's topics for webinars or anything.
Absolutely.
I'll throw this out there. There's another committee that is actually using this time slot to allow abbreviated presentations for those folks that weren't selected. And that could also happen during a 365 kind of venue as well. So because they don't get selected to be presented at AMPIC, if you've got good ones, we can still put those out there for folks. So going forward, keep that in mind as a possibility. And I'll just throw this in also, Heather, we will be making that report to the board at the pre-board meeting in Billings.
Mhm.
So I won't need that report until about the third week of June. So there's plenty of time if you want to ask for some more input. If folks are a little timid about
Yeah.
burning out in the Zoom meeting, but they'll email you something, then
Absolutely.
you got time. So it doesn't have to be due next week.
Sounds good. Yeah, I will definitely follow up with them too and make sure that we're always looking for, any type of suggestions. So anything to make the committee better. But that is a great idea about using it for additional presentations. So I do like that. We have 18, but we still had a couple more that were, high quality and, so that would be a great use of our time, especially since these don't seem to take too long for us. So we'll keep that in mind. Does anybody have any suggestions for a webinar? Like Connie had asked?
So I've been thinking a lot about, and maybe this is a good place for it. And I don't know if it's just a Penn State, Pennsylvania thing, or if this happens to other educators or agents. But a lot of times I get asked to do like a school visit or like at a community event. And it's hard sometimes to come up with like an activity or something to do if you're not somebody that often works with youth. And so I have thought about this idea of, I would love it to be in person in Pennsylvania, which is like, that's like something else altogether, but almost train the trainer. Like I have an activity I do with fourth graders. It takes 25 minutes. Like I build a kit with some supplies. There's no technology. And like, it's a great thing that anybody could take and do if they needed to. And a colleague of mine, and he's really what inspired me to try and keep thinking about this idea. He did a wood identification, and he had like little blocks of different types of wood, and he did an activity where he taught wood identification. Now, obviously, that requires a little bit more than just the materials that I use, but something where like we could provide almost like little packages or even just lists of materials for like short, low technology things that could be done at like a community event, a school visit, something like that. That's just, it's been in my head and I don't know where to put it or what to do with this thing. So this was a good place to be.
So like a resource page? Is that what
Yeah,
you're talking about?
Or like in a webinar or a Zoom meeting where we're doing like 3 train the trainers, and essentially somebody, that does something and has done it often and it works, trains others how to do that and then provides them with those resources. Like the lesson plan or a list of materials, something that you could throw together easily if you needed to. Like the one I use like plastic cups and various food items to demonstrate pollution and how, small amounts of pollution come together to make big amounts of pollution. It's very visual and the kids love it, and it like makes a great impact and starts a conversation. But I feel that there's probably a lot of people out there that have things like that, but they're not a 4-H or youth educator, so they don't talk about those things that they have. I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing too. I don't know if others are doing youth programming that aren't actually a 4-H or youth educator.
In South Dakota, I work with a Women in Science event, and we'll hold a session kind of like a tips and tricks on how to make your session a little bit more hands-on, kind of taking what, I do with plant pathology or soil compaction, trying to make it representing the things that kids understand and see. So we'll do like a Rice Krispie demonstration to do from no-till versus conventional tillage. And then they get to eat it at the end. Just stuff to make it a little bit more exciting, but kind of breaks it down into thoughts and things that they can understand. I
I
think stuff
love
like that
that.
would be good.
Like that, I never would have thought to use Rice Krispies, but I can see like the compaction, like how that would work. So like that's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Connie, for making my thoughts clearer to everybody.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
We can definitely look at that in our next meeting, Jenny, and talk about doing that or something like that for a webinar. Absolutely.
Thanks, Heather.
I think that'd be great. Anything else? Seeing that there's nothing. I guess again, thank you for coming. And if you have anything, please email me and or somebody on the committee and let us know, and we'll work on some of these ideas for the upcoming year. All right, y'all have a good Friday. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.